Thank you so much for the amazing response to Navaratri series so far. This year, we have some very special people who are going to bring in very different perspectives of life to us, including the latest thing which we talk about in terms of creating the content with books, with podcasting, with businesses, and so many other things, including some amazing coaching experiences that you will ever get. So it's a privilege for me to have Snehal joining us today. Snehal, thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is amazing to have these conversations with an intent of tapping in to the Navaratri energy. So thank you for having me.
So let's start by understanding what has been your journey so far.
The journey so far has, like, there are many facets to it, but if I have to simplify and put it across, I would say from being someone who was probably born in a lower middle class family where, living in a 10 by 10 room to now having your own control of life and living a life of your choice with your style is what the journey has been. This journey has taken me good over 20-25 years. uh, but yes, it did have its ups and downs. It did have its challenges, from wanting to just get the basic education. So right after 12th, I could not continue my education in a formal setup because it was just not possible. I had too many responsibilities. Distance education wasn't a in thing at that time. So I completed my education somewhere after a 10 years gap and did my graduation in 2010, wherein I had done my 12th in 2001. So that was a huge gap, in which I was working with corporates. Thankfully, I have always worked in the field of training and teaching. That has not gone away from me. So that was the interesting part. I've been always in alignment, even when I was working at that point in time. Even if, the degree was not a part of my life, I was still training and teaching. And somewhere, this thing of you need a certificate to do your job, or you need to have a certificate to prove what your skills are, was reversed for me. I was doing things and then going and getting a certificate because somebody wanted it. But yes, that's when my journey began as a teacher, then trainer, and then slowly moving into coaching in 2014. And 2014 onwards, I have been in helping entrepreneurs get themselves in alignment with what their purpose is, what product they're creating, and is it in alignment with their bigger purpose or their spiritual pathway, and bringing that in alignment. With that, as you already know, and that's how we met, is my small company, which was established in 2018, which is called Mind Spirit Works. And the intent of that was to help people like me who feel that you have to be a language expert to express your thoughts and get your books out. And it's not true, because a writer is a writer, and a editor is an editor, and a publisher is a publisher. So a writer is the one who actually has an idea, a concept which can be shared with many. And that's when I began on this journey with helping those who had amazing ideas and wanted to share it with the world. So 2018, our journey started. This year, we officially have completed launching 100 books under the umbrella of Mind Spirit Works.
Congratulations.
Navarasa was our 94th book. Navarasa and Dare were 93, 94th book of ours. And yes, and the journey continues to happen. So yeah, that's in short different facets of me and 25 years journey summed up.
That is amazing. But these facets, when you talk about, come at a very different transition, right? While you expresses very simply that you took up the certifications only when it was required, but after a gap, coming back, still pursuing, still doing this particular takes a lot of mental preparedness and a lot of mental toughness.
Yes. So I'll be honest, when in 2006, 7, I was already working with BPOs and ITs, and some of them at that time, as long as you had the skill of communication and you had done your 12th, they were allowing you to work. And there came a time and kind of a boom that no, only you need to be a graduate to survive in a company, or you'll be kicked out or laid off or whatever it is. So then it became my necessity that I have to get the certificate of graduation when I was already teaching training. I was already conducting trainings. I was already, teaching processes and conducting like good amount of batches. Like by then I had already trained for around 4,000 people. Okay. Because I was continually working, no breaks. But then that became the requirement, and then you come with so much of experience, and then you have to go and sit and listen to something that is very basic, and you're like, bhai ye pehle kar liya hota, like you, if you know, you would have just done it. So there does come that dilemma that am I and also, the age factor does kick in. Like now I would still say that I look little much younger or matching my age, but that time I had put on a lot of weight. Then you feel you're looking very aged, and you're sitting with these kids, okay, who are just turning 19 and 20. So that dilemma of knowing, understanding, showing up, even if you don't feel like showing up, I think that was the crux of identity crisis and confidence level dipping down. So there is one place where I'm absolutely confident and ready to teach, and there is one place where I'm a student and I don't even feel like I want to be visible around these people, you know. So dealing with these two dilemmas at the same time while you're working in night shifts, trust me, it was crazy.
Fair. So you did that particular part. Then working with the entrepreneurs, particularly on aligning their product with their purpose. Now, identifying the purpose itself is a very different part, right? Usually, you tend to believe that I identify a problem and then I'm going to find a solution for that particular problem. But does it resonate with what you are supposed to do? It's a very difficult process and maybe a difficult call sometimes.
And that's where the decoding or demystifying the concept of purpose is the major role I play in. Because most of the times, see, we got to understand that we all are different kinds of souls, and each one is, evolved or born at a different evolved level. So some are born with knowing what their purpose is, like since they're kids. That's where you see these entrepreneurs, 16-year-old, 12-year-old entrepreneurs that are being born. Or even if you look at the saints or journeys of some great people, you see they've been doing the work since they're born in the same line. They were already aware of what their purpose was, and they were just following through with it, doing the due diligence of showing up for their duties. And then there is the rest of world in which we belong, where the purpose reveals itself as long as you keep showing up for the work that you're doing. So knowing what do I serve for is the base, and the purpose will keep evolving as you keep showing up. Most times today, people are spending a lot of time in what is my purpose, and then I'll go to the work. It's other way around. You keep doing the work, the purpose will keep opening up for you, and the pathway will keep showing up, and the universe will align the right people that you need to serve so that you keep evolving in your journey. And that's the biggest, factor that I deal with in the first 2 or 3 months that I am with an entrepreneur, because it goes kind of against with all that has been advertised, everywhere, that know
Yes.
your purpose and then go do this, figure out who you are and then go do this. We can never figure out who we are because we're always becoming. Human being is being, and as he's being, his becoming is what changes the world. So it's contradictory to what has been sold, and therefore yes, my role comes in to help you stay in alignment at that moment, at what is showing up for you in that moment, so that you show up, you do what you're supposed to serve the people that are in front of you, because business is all about service. And then from there, we take one step at a time and see what universe unfolds for us. So yeah, that's kind of the alignment journey. It is always about putting the wheel in alignment. You cannot take a car, drive it all the time and say it's all the wheels are always in alignment. You've got to take them to tune in. So that tuner sometimes is me.
Amazing. Can you share some of the examples, some specific things that you were comfortable sharing?
About alignment,
Yes.
definitely. So once, okay, I would say 3 to 4 years ago, I was working with one of the coaches who and my major transition started with solopreneurs, which are majorly coaches. I now deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, but at that time it was coaching. And she was very, very, very confident that she's always worked in corporate. Around 30 years she was in corporate. Okay. And she now wanted to do corporate coaching, which was mostly executive coaching and working only with C-suite level people. And that's what she thought she was doing and wanting to do. And it wasn't very difficult for her to get those gigs because she already had built a network and so on. Okay. Now, see how we think our purpose is and what we end up doing. Okay. So while she was doing her executive coaching and, traveling all over India to get different kinds of, or deliver different kinds of coaching programs, everywhere she kept coming across women who are moms and had teenage children, and they didn't know how to deal with it because they were continually working. Okay. And it just kept happening as a pattern. She's like, I go for executive coaching and I end up talking about teenage kid and how a mother should be. And I'm like, okay, can we see if there is a pattern here and if there is something else opening up for you? Okay. And to our surprise, actually not a surprise, but to just validate that pattern, when she announced a simple webinar saying, you know what, moms, if you have a teenage kid, let's talk. For, working onto a contract, getting somebody or a company to sign up for you, that journey takes 3 to 4 months, and then you get a group of 20, 25 people.
Yes.
Okay. This one announcement got her 300 participants in less than 10 days. And then that webinar was just a eye opener in terms of, okay, let's see what challenges these guys are asking. She took a 3 month break after that, saying, no, I need to work on this content. And since then, until now, she's been working with moms and teenagers as a unit. Okay. And now even parents and kids and the coach, as a unit to bring in transformations in their relationships, focus, work, everything. So that's purpose showing up for you, and something that she never expected she would be doing. Like teenage kids finding in corporate environment would have never otherwise happened. Okay, so that is one good example. There is another one that I would love, love, love sharing. Is we were working with someone again, very, very, very left brain oriented. Looking at finance and has always worked in finance department. And she, when she moved into consulting and said, I want to start my own business, it wasn't coaching, it was very much consulting. Consulting, she was very sure that I will set up my office, start my finance consulting, and then eventually have a team. We had literally drafted out the entire plan. Okay. And for some reason, one day we went for just, for exploration. We had gone for an event, and there she looked at the crochet that was displayed, and she's like, Snehal, I used to love doing this, and I can show you how many masterpieces I've created. Okay. And I was like, show me. And then we went home, saw the work that she has done, which is preserved but not touched for over 2 years. Just for the sake of saying, I said, you know what, why don't you create one for me and share it? That one, when I shared it in certain groups, just as an appreciation and thank you, that led to so many orders that today in Gujarat she has a crochet business, okay, which goes international and she keeps shipping the products international. So, what you think and who you are and what life will show up for you, I think that all needs to come in alignment. And knowing who am I becoming every day, what do I want to serve? Like even I was a great example of corporate. I always thought I've worked in training department, always with BPOs and ITs. I'll go back and consult and coach there. And to my surprise, 1 year after my coaching journey started, when my coach sat down and asked me, who did you do best with? And I actually noted down, she said, create case studies of your, people. You don't have to let out anyone's names. Just do the case study and tell me where was the largest transformation. And my largest transformation was with entrepreneurs. And I took a step back. I'm like, hey, how is that possible? Because I think I'm not a business person. Nobody in my family, either side does business. I come from a very military government employee side, so you can understand everybody has a very basic logic of 9 to 5 work done. I'm like, how did I do it? And she's like, if that is what it is for you, that is what it is for you. Explore that. And since then, I've been with entrepreneurs. So I think it's letting the path find you most times than assuming that I know the path.
Awesome. So while you're coaching on this particular, so where did the books come into picture?
Oh, books was a challenge for me. So when I was doing, I enrolled for a coaching course and everything, and I had decided that from training, so I'll be very honest, I was doing trainings. I was already signed up with a lot of companies on, the contracts and so on. Uh, So now I needed a pay increase. Now, when you're working for yourself, there is no pay increase unless you say, I did this certification also and this also. So I'll genuinely tell you, my intent of enrolling was one more certification so that I can start raising my prices. And I have no idea. Till date, I have no memory of how did I find that coaching course and how did I enroll. Okay. Now I enrolled in everything. Okay. And 1 month later, my husband is like, we are moving out of the country. I'm like, hello, I just decided I will start doing and networking and all of that. And now you're saying we're moving. So I completed my course by the time I moved to States. But in my head, see, we always have a tendency of looking at what we lost rather than what we have. So I was still in that phase of, I don't know anyone except my husband. And how do I build a business in a land like that? And I was a typical Puneite who never wanted to even leave my own home. Okay, I used to only travel for work and then I'm like a home person. So my coach challenged me. She was in Canada. She's like, my book launch is happening. I don't care. You're booking the ticket and you're coming there. And I'm like, I've never read a single book in my life. You expect me. And even being a trainer, I was very much what do we call it? You know, those people who are given a portion who will study that, master that, but never explore outside of that. So I had never explored any books outside of that. I'm already stressed out saying, I'm going to meet a group of individuals who are authors and the publisher is arranging. What am I going to talk? Like, my intellectual level is way down there. Two, I know how I got my education done. So, in terms of literary thought process of will I match it was not there. I entered there and Charu, the publisher asked me, okay, what's your story? So instead of introduction, hey, can you tell me who you are or whatever, she just simply said, what's your story? And I looked at her and I said, I have no story. I married the man that I was in love with. I live with him happily. Stress free life, no tension. I don't have any story. She's like, no, everybody has a story. And she challenged me saying, I'm going to give you 90 days. You're going to write your story and send it to me. And if I feel it's worth it, it'll go in my next book. Okay. With me being me, 88 the day tuck, I was chilled out. But then the coach who took me there, she called me saying, you better, my name is at stake. Okay. You better finish and send something. I don't care. I put myself down on the 89th day. And so they expected a 2,000 letter article. I had written around 7,000 something letters. I don't know how they flew in, but I just went typing, typing, typing. And I said, you know what? I just have to submit it. I'm not hoping it to be accepted. And the publisher replied saying, I like it. It needs a lot of editing, but I like it. It went through 33 rounds of editing, but she did publish it. And that is when I thought, okay, you're capable of telling something. Okay. The real magic actually happened after that because the book was launched. She sent me 50 physical copies of it. I sold two copies, one to my neighbor upstairs and one to another neighbor in the community. That's it. The 48 copies were lying. But my LinkedIn started popping up. I had messages from, people, different parts of the world because that book had another 19 stories. And they started messaging me saying, Snehal, story was really amazing. And we didn't know that, India also has such challenges and stuff like that. And these are white people. These are people from different parts of the world writing and connecting with my story. And I'm like, okay, story does have an impact. And you do need to tell them because you never know who's going to read out when. And that's where my journey of books then began, where I'm like, I don't care if I know the language, I don't care if I master the language or not. It's about telling my story. And that's the beginning of the journey. So, that was my first ever.
So from that start to 100 books, how is that moved?
Uh, so that book was published by the publisher. Okay. Then with me being me, I'm like in that 2012, 2013, 2014. There was not much about coaches, that much of it. Like how many coaches are there today? At that time, if I used to say I'm a life coach, people used to literally think that I'm going to help you, save from drowning kind of thing. We had to literally explain that I'm not that life coach. Okay. So I had this thought ki, Are, if, women can write this, let's bring a group of coaches and we'll publish a book. I went ahead, I connected with more than 10, 12 coaches. I also took my coach in line saying, you also, you and I will get this done. And then we approached the publisher. She outright declined. She's like, I'm not publishing this book. I'm like, hello, I already promised these 10 people that we'll publish a book. Don't do this to me. She's like, no, I'm not publishing it. You will publish it. I'm like, one, I don't have a network. That's why I came for your event. Remember, I don't know anybody in this country. How do you expect me to do this? She's like, I don't know. I know you can do this. I will teach you everything, but you're publishing this book. So if you ask me if I have a memory of how did Mind Spirit Works name come into picture, I have no memory of it. But for the sake of writing some name that needs to be entered on Amazon, that's where Mind Spirit Works came in. And I'm like, God bless this book because all these people have promised. My book was a bestseller. And now I have no idea. Trust me, we got 24 people in that book to write. How we don't know. Paid people also to write in the book. Two people who were topmost coaches at that time, like Marshall Goldsmith and John Maton. So Marshall Goldsmith was already awarded a multiple times being a top coach in the world. And then that was going to be given to John that year. Okay. And the the book was simple for coaches from coaches. That's it. Coaches ne likha hai for coaches. Within 24 hours, we started realizing that everybody else was also enjoying the content. And we had hit bestseller in multiple countries multiple times. How? I don't know. And then that again started the core of people's, proactively connecting with me, checking in. Then I took up a challenge. 2019, I took up a challenge. I'll connect with at least 100 authors or authors in progress and check what makes them write. And that journey taught me a lot. Their challenges, their inhibitions, what holds them back. Why do they not submit manuscript, for years at times when it is already written? That learning was kick-ass. And then I have never done marketing for Mind Spirit Works, but the books are always in queue and we have been doing it. So it has just happened.
Awesome. Now, the next step, the podcast.
Podcast actually started with a very, how do I say, selfish thought. As I was connecting with these 100 people, I started realizing. So, of course, to connect those 100 authors, I'm doing a lot of networking and connecting with many people. And I'm like, there is so amazing people in this world, and there is so much to learn. But how do I capture that learning? Okay, now I never came from authentic learning. I never went to college. So for me, life lessons were learnings. And now I was becoming greedy. Like I met you and you have something amazing you're doing, but for networking event, I'm meeting you for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. How do I take your learning? So that's when I started, doing podcasting. You know what? I'll record. I'll go back to these learnings, learn from these people. So that's how it started. It had no agenda. It didn't have any logic of every 15 days I'll launch because my first podcast came in 2019 when people didn't even know about podcasts. So for me, it was a very much simple recording place where I could store data on a space which I didn't have to pay for. That was my basic logic with Spotify. Anchor was there at that point in time. So that's where the journey of connecting with different entrepreneurs, different level people, and capturing their voice in terms of what were their life lessons, how did they overcome their scenarios. That's where it started, which then started taking a proper turn when people started also listening to it and saying that Snehal, you should do this, you should do that. Then it started becoming more of an objective, but earlier objective was very selfish, capture the voice so that I can listen to it and learn from them later. I'm very greedy that way. I meet someone who is two levels up me. I want to know how you made it happen so that I can follow your footsteps. That's just me.
Is it really that simple?
Um, See, neurolinguistic programming says it's that simple because it says life is easy and not hard. If you're a part of nature, everything in nature is easy, natural, and effortless. Okay. So with neurolinguistic programming, what I have learned is every individual that is successful always leaves clues, and there is a formula to that success. If you can just walk those steps, you can reach the same place by keeping your own identity. And there are a lot of techniques of role modeling and so on. So maybe that became a part of who I am because when I'm meeting people, I'm kind of already, checking that and implementing kind of thing. But is it that easy, to be very honest? It is if there is a willingness to shift. And if there is that acceptance that, yes, you are 10 steps ahead of me, yes, you have made it happen. And yes, there is a lot for me to learn from each individual because we all are different. And whenever EGO has walked in, learning has become challenging. Every time EGO comes in, you're like, huh, but I've also done this. The moment that comes in, your learning dips and it doesn't dip little. See, the fall from high level is always high.
Agree.
So, as long as you're aware that I'm an individual and there is more to learn, of course, if you have clarity in basic things like what are my priorities and what are my goals, then whom to learn from becomes easy. If you know what your values are, then again, whom to learn from becomes easy. Then you know what to do and what not to do. And one thing my trainer had said, when I was learning what training is and everything, and he had said that Snehal, no matter who is training, you have an opportunity to go and sit in anybody's training, just go and sit. One of the two things will happen. You'll either learn what to do or you learn what not to do.
Agree.
Your time is never a waste. So that always kept me exploring in terms of, okay, what makes you who you are? And is there an element of that I can bring in me so that people who are in my awareness level can be benefited by my existence? Because sometimes we don't have to teach, we don't have to tell, we just have to be, and our being is a good space for a shift and a change to come in. So yeah.
Amazing. What would you recommend the entrepreneurs who are currently struggling with okay, maybe a dilemma, maybe a multiple choice, particularly, but currently what you are experiencing right now is that there is a huge amount of traction that is happening in market because of some dynamic changes, the global scenarios which is happening, the technology. I'm aware that you are also pretty much in technology space. So technology is shaping the business in a different way. So in these turbulent times, you would find that a lot of entrepreneurs find it very difficult to uh, maybe say put themselves in the right position, or if I want to look at it, gravitate themselves at one particular point in time wherein they would remain strong, and at some point in time they can pivot and look at the right part. But finding that specific niche, that comfort point or that right point, and as you some time back put it, aligning with their purpose, right? That becomes very difficult for them, right? So, what would you advise these confused entrepreneurs, confused and excited both at the same time?
So I may see some things which are going to be very contradictory with all that has been selling out there, okay, but I'll just put it across, okay. What I feel is right now, rather than specialists, there are a lot of multi-potentialists out there in market, and that's where the dilemma comes in. That should I choose this as the niche or that as the niche, and but I'm so talented. How can I leave certain things behind? Okay, my suggestion to entrepreneurs who are at that stage where they feel that, but I am multi-talented. What do you want to do about that? I'm going to say that you are multi-talented and that is true. But for people to know that you have a shop in which they can enter, there has to be a label which they can get attracted to. We all go to restaurants, right? I'm pretty sure that even when we go to a restaurant that says Chinese, I'll still get Indian food in it. Or an Indian food restaurant will still serve Chinese, which is amazing. And every time we go there, we're eating Chinese. Okay. But I walked in with a different purpose. But there has to be a label so that there is that GPS marking so that people know you exist. And once the door opens, then you're free to give them an entire buffet that they can pick up from all different talents that you have. But start from one that market is wanting for. Because that's the best place to say, hey, here I am. And that's where there is a balance of what the market wants, the need, and you saying that I'm the supplier of it, but I also have other things with it. But at least for
True.
that first demand, people will come to you. Okay. It may not be your best product, but it is one of the products you definitely have, which is needed in the market. So that is one. Now, the second aspect, which is, am I really following my purpose or not? I would say, can you just come down to there is a demand in the market? I have been chosen to be a supplier and just start supplying. Your purpose will show up for you if you do what that first idea, because who gave you that idea in the first place? Who told you that there is a demand in the market and you can be the supplier? So, can you trust that ideator and know that if you do this, he will show up whichever path opens up for you and not take too much stress about it? And third and most important thing, and I think this is where we move away from being humans. Okay, and I am doing a lot of work with AI right now, and I can tell you this, whether AI or not, AI still needs us to instruct it. Okay,
Yes.
at the end of the day, it still needs an human interface. And what we forget as humans is our being, as I've been saying that a lot today, but our being, our existence has its own awareness level and has its own attractive field. So, can I
Yes.
choose to be an entrepreneur who is in an attractive field, a magnetic field, where people automatically find and come to me? I don't have to go chasing them. But can I trust the process and be stable? Because we all love hanging on to people who are stable. See, look at the people that we even look up to. There is some kind of stability that they show, which we like and love. That's why we want them in our life. A certainty. So, can you be certain enough that if I have been chosen, the people will come and my clients will walk in and they will walk in?
True. That conviction with self is the key.
Then you will find the right people who will do your right marketing, who will take care of writing the right posts for you. All of that will automatically happen. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying it is needed and you need to do that in today's digital world. Because if I take even Instagram as just one channel and take all the population there, we can create a largest continent on this earth. Right? So if everybody is there, I got to be there. So don't run away from that, but be in a attraction mode rather than chasing mode. That's the shift I recommend anyone and everyone.
The second question, which is a generation which is right now at the college level or getting into the college, right? Or looking at the graduation and want to look at what next for their life. What would you advise them?
So these people are ones who have one thing which is great. They have the ability to research. Okay, like I know if I'm telling a teenager or somebody who is just in their college saying, let's go to a restaurant, they will sit down and 10 minutes do research saying who has which rating and where to go. So research is their strength, okay, which is not ours. We generally jump into things and that's who we are. So if research is your thing, let it not be your paralysis. Because sometimes you do so much of research that you forget what you really, really wanted. So staying in alignment with what I want and then going in only to do that much of research is one. Two is while your generation is the fastest result die out fastest as well. So having the patience to hold on and remembering that nature has its due course of time and things will take as much time as they have to take is the only second factor that I would recommend, because smartness sometimes comes naturally to you guys. Uh, and the last part, you want to be in business, you want to grow. You cannot forget that people make a business run. So whether you like it or not, you've got to be social. Figure out different ways of being social. You don't have to be social 100% or 24 hours of your life. But even if it's that 1 week in a day for 2 hours, that's good enough. I am the most introvert person. In COVID, I did not step out of the house for good 4 months and I felt nothing about it. Okay, I can live alone, be absolutely happy with solitude. But at the same time, I have to make peace with business runs with people, people by people first. So don't change your life completely. Don't be an extrovert, but at least make peace with you got to do what you got to do. Because nowadays generation is I don't like it, so I won't do it. And that's something that you got to make peace with. That some things you got to do, even if you don't like doing them. Networking is definitely one of them. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Snehal, for these amazing insights. I believe the last 2 points would make tremendous sense for the entrepreneurs and the youngsters who want to get into the industry. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. It was wonderful questions, and it made me open up a lot. So thank you.